Hiya fishy folks, and welcome back to Michael's Fish Room. Sorry about the clickbait title, but I got to get your attention so you watch the video. So, as the title suggests, a water change killed all my fish. I mean, not really me, that's just the clickbait. Grab a healthy snack and beverage and I'll explain. Welcome back, fishy folks. Before I get started with the topic, do me a favor. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. And of course, hit that notification bell. Just massage it so you know if I go live or release a new video. So the topic is, I just did a water change and all my fish are dead. Now, that happens sometimes. Most of the time, I would say 99% of the time, it can be avoided. And the two most common reasons are there's something wrong with the water you put in, or contamination. So let's talk about contamination. What does that mean? That means if you used a hose or a bucket, there was something in the bucket for the water that you poured in or in the hose that was poisonous to your fish. And that happens when you have a bucket that's not dedicated to fish use. Somebody else uses it. Maybe they use it to mop the floor, or they cleaned up something with bleach and you didn't know, and there was residual in that bucket or hose, whatever it might be, and when you changed the water, that contamination got into the water and killed your fish. Usually that's not immediate, although it can be depending on the level of contamination. The other thing that I see a lot, and I actually have a fix for, is soap or contamination on your hands. You know, you wash your hands after dinner or going to the bathroom, I hope. Then you go to your fish room or fish tank and you put your hand in to do something. An hour later, fish are looking kind of crappy. 2 hours later, dead. Dead. And so to avoid that problem, my wife actually started using this, and I wrote it down so I didn't forget. A company called Plantoria, and it's plant-based, 100% plant-based soaps and stuff. She loves it, by the way, and I used it once by accident, and it smelled so good and made my hands feel good. I mean, I used it and it cleaned my hands really well, so I started using it all the time. But I actually have it in my bathroom upstairs, and before I come to the fish room, I wash my hands with it just to make sure there's nothing on my hands. And so it's plant-based, so it's not a chemical. It won't harm your fish if you forget or don't do a good enough job washing the residual off. So I'll put an Amazon link down below. I think they have an Amazon store. Plantoria is the name. Again, just a reminder, Amazon affiliate links. I make a very small commission at no cost to you if you click on that link and buy anything. So it's just a way to support the channel. And to be honest, as you guys probably know, I have an Amazon problem. I buy things all the time that I don't need just because. So that helps offset that cost. You know what I'm saying? So contamination, a big thing. If you're going to use a bucket to change water, make sure it's a dedicated fish tank only bucket. Right on it, spray paint on it, wait for it to dry before you use it. Let everyone in your household know, do not touch that bucket for fear of death. Same thing with the hose. If you use a hose, a python or whatever to gravel vac, that should be the only thing it's used for, is your fish tank. That's it, nothing else. The other thing is the incoming water, right? So, water. That's right, I said water. Go ahead, make fun of me. Anyway, the incoming water. Now, a lot of times, municipalities, will add additional chlorine or chloramines, especially at certain times of the year as they do maintenance. It would be good if they let us know, but they don't have to let us know if it's within the same standard year-round, right? So whatever the law says, X amount parts per million, as long as they don't exceed that, they don't need to tell us. And so that's a problem. This is why when I used to use Prime or Seachem Prime or Fritz Complete in tanks to change water, I always double dose the amount no matter what, because it's just a cheap insurance policy, if you will. But we have that. We have other contaminants sometimes, especially if you're on well water or your township uses that kind of well water or underground aquifer. It's a pretty big word, right? If it snows or rains, it's possible that chemicals could get into that water and might not be harmful to us, but would be harmful to our fishy babies. So it's always a good idea to just think about that when you're doing a water change. The two other things when you're doing a water change that your water could actually do is the temperature is substantially different. Typically cold isn't as bad as hot. You know, if your water temperature is say 75 degrees and you put in 60-degree water, your fish aren't going to be happy. They may get stressed and have some secondary issues, perhaps Calmaris or ick, which is terrible to begin with, but treatable for the most part. But hot water is even worse. That can kill pretty quickly, so try to match the temperature. I'm not saying you need to use a thermometer and be within 0.100 of a degree. I'm just saying if your water temperature is 75, you put your finger in the bucket of water or under the tap that you're filling using your Python, they should feel about the same. I know people that take it way too far and use temperatures and infrared non-contact temperature probes and then, you know, use some sort of analytical formula to verify the temperature. You don't have to be that specific, just be close. The last thing that really is bad is a pH difference. Now, if your water sits and the pH changes, it typically means I'm talking sits for like 24 hours, your water company adds things to change the pH. If that happens and you do a large volume water change, it is possible the pH could be considerably different. So you want to be careful. If you always let the water sit, always let the water sit. And that way the pH is the same. It's actually a good test. Grab a gallon of water, test the pH, you know, at one day, 24 hours later, test it again and see if it's changed substantially. It probably will change a little bit. Couple points here and there, no big deal, but we're talking 1 or 2, that's a big deal. So by points, I mean like 0.1, 0.2. You know, if it goes from 7 to 7.1, it's not a big deal. Well, if it goes from 7 to 8, that's a big deal, so you got to be careful. There are other things when you do a water change that can also kill your fish, and you have to be careful. But just use common sense. But contamination and water quality issues are the two #1 things that kill fish. Okay? Some of the other things you want to look for besides temperature and pH and contamination would be, I can't think of any. Those are really the only things. I'm sure there's other things, and leave them down in the comments below if you know of any, but really, those are the big things. You just got to be careful and smart. Get a plant-based soap to use before you go to the fish room. Link down below for the one that I use. Get a bucket that's fish room only. I like the Tractor Supply buckets because they're white and cheap. And if you use a Python or whatever hose to gravel vac, make sure it's a fish tank hose only. That's it. Simple, common sense stuff. Don't overthink it. Let me know down in the comments below if you have any questions. Another reason why you could kill all your fish by doing a water change if you're a dummy is, it was kind of harsh. Yeah, but I don't care. That's just how it is. So, yeah. Nope. Or, not really pH poisoning. I'm going to start over. The two that are most common, I should probably pause longer so I can edit better. You'd think after 4 years of doing this, I would know when I screw up how to make the edit work, but no. Dumbass. Hiya fishy folks, and welcome back to Michael's Fish Room. Today's video, water change killed all my fish. Alright fishy folks, welcome back. Yes, the title is clickbait, but it's a fact of life. People complain about this at least once a week I see on Facebook, and I've pretty much stopped really looking at fish scripts because of all the stupidity. But that said, I gotta start over because I didn't do any of the stuff I need to do marketing wise, so I suck.